Hello again, folks, and welcome to another video. And in this video, I will be discussing, is Peavey dead? Are they coming back from the grave? We don't know that. So let me start off by saying a few months back, I got information that basically Peavey was not in a very good state as a company. A lot of scariness going on because basically Hartley has gotten up there in age where, while he's still healthy and active for his range, he's still at an age now that he could pass on at any point in time. So, with that said, there he is with his company, his baby, and he put all his blood, sweat, and tears to build and get a good reputation from. The inherent problem is, though, is again, Hartley wants the company to continue. He wants the company to continue while still being in the hands of the family. What's the inherent problem? None of his family members have an interest in keeping the company going, which is very sad and leaves the business in a very bad state, and also puts how it's being managed in perils as well too. Over the last 2-3 years, because of the way the world has been going, Peavey has substantially changed. Now, I won't say it's just necessarily the way the world is going. I'll also point out the thing that, some people in this part of the world don't want to hear or don't like hearing. And that's America as a whole is not in a very good state. And there's a lot of things right now that are affecting what's in America and what comes out of America and so forth and so forth. That said, when you talk about businesses in America being affected by how the country is, Peavey is just a prime example of one of those businesses that's affected by it. So, not only is Peavey getting the whammy from family and family ownership of the company, but they're also financially getting the whammy because of America as a whole. With that said, Peavey has done a good job here on actually making their site a little bit more appealing and easier to run around on, as we see here. Some of these things were definitely not put into place up until recently. So, like, for example, you actually can buy Peavey product from Peavey's own website now. So you can actually buy it direct. Whether you're saving much money or it's much different than, say, buying it from, say, a Sweetwater or Long and McQuaid here in Canada or whatnot that actually carry Peavey product, I couldn't honestly tell you. But, they do at least offer Visa, American Express, Discovery, MasterCard, and a very big one here is the PayPal. Also, they very clearly say all prices on site reflects US dollars. So That's good that they make that a note, because I've gone on to websites, excuse me, both in Canada, US, and other parts of the world where they'll give you the price, like you see here, but that's just it. You don't know if that's $139 in rubles, euros, pounds, Australian dollars, American dollars, Canadian dollars, and so forth and so forth. So it makes it difficult to actually determine whether you actually want to buy a product off of that site or otherwise. So before I move on, another thing that I'm glad that Peavey has actually done. I'll have to excuse me. This is 7:30 in the morning. I'm doing this video. They actually do now list the brands that are under Peavey ownership. Trace Elliot, Buddha Amps, or Buddha Amplification as they say here, Composite Acoustics, Peavey Corporate, Media Matrix, Crest Audio, and Architectural Acoustics. So it's interesting to actually know that. So is Peavey a company that could possibly survive, or might be on the verge of actually coming back from the grave and going back into survivability with all that's going on? Possibly. So let's look at the guitar amps. Again, myself, I have actually owned quite a few Peavey products, Peavey amps in the past. Again, I make that very well known. For the most part, I felt Peavey has been a pretty much pro-consumer product where you could buy a Peavey product, and as Hurtley Peavey himself has said, his goal has always been to buy a product, produce a product that down the road he doesn't have to touch. And that basically, I believe as he said, quote unquote, will outlive his lifetime. And for the most part, up until recently, I would say, yeah, they've pretty much kept up with that guarantee and of interest. So, again, Buddha guitar amps, Viper series, Classic series, Butcher series, guitar combos, guitar amp heads, cabinets, 6505, the Transtube series. But this video today, we will be talking about these, which for 5 years I did own the Viper VIP 2, as well as I owned a first generation San Para 2 foot controller with it. And quite honestly, for being able to do acoustic, bass, and guitar, it was a not bad value, I'll be honest. Was it able to do everything perfect and great? No. As in most devices or things like amps, not all of them are able to do all things the best. Usually you have to compromise when you start dealing with things like that, such as like in the Viper VIP line, you didn't get a guitar speaker, you got a all-in-one speaker. So as Ola England has recently done. He's taken the Viper VIP 3 model and he's actually changed it, the speaker, from the stock speaker to, I believe, a Celestian Heritage. And changed none of the settings from when he was playing it with the stock speaker in place. And he played the exact same thing with the same settings through the Celestian Heritage speaker. And was there a noticeable difference? Yes, there was. Did it sound more like a guitar amp? Yes. Would it sound good as a bass or acoustic amp? Probably not with that speaker, because it being voiced specifically for guitar and nothing else. That said, I am a member on Peavey's forum. Been around in the Viper section for quite a few years, and the section was really dead for a long time. And even still, the last time I viewed it, there's like hardly anything going on in it. So I got word sometime back that due to the company and everything else, Peavey had discontinued the Viper series as a whole. And it was like, to me, I looked at it as a death knell to the continued spiraling down of the company as a whole. And it was also further confirmed with somebody who actually bought one of the VIP models. Wasn't even a year old, and it needed warranty work. They contacted Peavey's technical support and basically were told that the line has been discontinued. And he was like, okay. He goes, but I still have a warranty on this and I should be able to get it repaired. To which the customer service rep told said individual, actually, no, we cannot warranty the amp. And he's like, well, it doesn't make any sense. You offer the warranty, you should be able to warranty it. And they said, due to the current limitations of materials that's going on around the world for varying materials and parts, Peavey had no idea when they would actually get replacement parts for this product. So they unfortunately would not be able to warranty the product, which, again, doesn't leave a good taste in the mouth of us, the consumer. So that person very quickly, I believe, got rid of the unit, and I think they moved to a Boss Katana amp, which again is one of the big competitors for the Peavey Viper series of modeling amps. But of course, the Boss Katana doesn't do bass or acoustic. Well, actually, I think it does do acoustic, but I can be corrected there. That said, all this looked like basically that the Viper series was done, and again, another further spiral into the abyss and no longer existingness of Peavey as a whole. Until I seen a posting somewhere, I believe it was on Facebook's Viper settings, somebody said, hey, looks like Peavey isn't out of the business. So they referenced, we'll go here, to this. Guitar Center putting a post up, and as we see up here, pre-order. And so what do we have here is the Peavey Viper X3 100 watt 1x2 combo. And they're calling it a guitar combo, which is kind of odd because when we look at the specs here further under the features, we see 36 onboard amp models, including 6 acoustic and 6 bass amp models. So at the end of the day, what these are basically Viper VIPs rebranded with a different naming, X3 instead of VIP, and some additional features such as Bluetooth. What is it here? 10 instrument models, which I think is no different than before. Universal delay and reverb. 400 amp presets. That's no change. iOS app available. That is a new thing. Onboard looper with optional sandpaper trademark foot switch. Again, no different. 12 amp accessible stomp box effects with dual parameter control, something that is lacking in that series. Bluetooth wireless remote control and audio streaming in. And in the case of this one, it has the LED screen for ease of use. So let's kind of see if I can zoom these out here. Okay, there we go. So here's basically the look of the new design. And it's kind of The back isn't anything spectacular or anything different than the VIP. We might as well call them first gen VIP now. The only difference is the baffle area is now only half. On the VIP2s, it was almost the full section of the back that was covered. Again, another front shot. Top view. The actual control layout, which quite honestly is no different than what it was on the VIP3, which is basically what this is. Ooh, look cool. Your hand turning the knob. This model does have the power soak just like the VIP3 did. And of course they show off the cool fancy HP2 guitar. At the end of the day, what's the impressions of this as a product? Quite honestly, it looks like I'll be honest, it looks like somebody combined my Harley Benton cab, 2x12 cab, except as a single, combined it with a Fender Mustang amp, and came up with the new X3 design. And the price on pre-order is $349.99 from Guitar Center. Adding is keeping it at basically the same price scheme as what the original VIP was. and adding Bluetooth and putting it in a different package and giving it a different name still value it at being at the original price point of the first revision? No. Not in this day and age, and more so with a lot more people out there with a lot less money. You're not going to sell product that's basically a repackaged and renamed version of what was already out there. I mean, hey, props for trying to do so to stir the market back up and bring in some sales, but to me, I think it's kind of a big letdown to anyone who actually owned the product, and more so, it'll be a bigger letdown if basically it's the same crap from before, just in a different package, and they added a Bluetooth module somehow to it. That would be definitely very disappointing. So when I actually been looking around, I guess I've been sitting on this like the last 5 days now when doing this video. I said to myself, well, if this is initially real and is a thing, is it anywhere else on the market yet? So we have Sweetwater, and of course they have it properly labeled as Peavey Viper X3 112-inch 100-watt modeling guitar bass acoustic combo amp. So they have it done properly. It's listed on pre-order. Special financing ends January 2021, as low as $15 a month over 24 months. $15 a month isn't too bad when you think about it in that way. But $15 a month over 24 months? Let's pull up calculator on my cell phone and see what we get here. 15 times 24. So basically they're selling it at $349. If you were to do the special financing on it at $15 a month over 2 years, it's $360. And it's okay for considering you're paying for it over 2 years. But quite honestly, when you're talking at this amount, financing really isn't a big thing. So what's the other thing I noticed too when I went on this Sweetwater site to see this? I was saying to myself, don't tell me they just are going to simplify things with an X3 100-watt model. And I said, if they did that, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, because it would be keeping their costs down and be able to sell a product that they could still turn a profit on, and give us the consumer that kind of benefit. So that's when I scroll down here further, and what do I see? Choose 100 1x12, choose 40 by 112, and 20 by 1/8. So they've basically taken VIP 1, VIP 2, and VIP 3 and repackaged it all into the Viper X3. So let's look at initially what Sweetwater has up in this for images. So again, front of the amp, side profile, top over top kind of angle profile, rear profile. Images are a little bit better quality, which Sweetwater does a pretty good job with their photography of product. But again, especially looking at the top here, doesn't this kind of scream, a Fender Mustang? It really does. Again, side view. I guess this is the app. I don't know if this is the app for the computer or if this is the app for iPhone or whatnot. It's a decent app. Looks like it's a little bit more cleaned up compared to the software for the VIP series, as I was saying, that I had before. Again, another look at the software. Again, it's just more kind of tweaked, massaged. The only thing really different is just basically this placement here of parameters. Everything else is relatively the same. Same thing as the effects, you know. Nothing exactly special to write home about. "30-second looper, no different than what I had. Software iOS app. Well, there's one thing there that if they're making it that it's only iOS, that limits a lot of people out there that have Android phones that don't like Apple phones. So that's kind of a mistake on their regard. So, okay product. Let's check out the 40 watt, which there is the noticeable differences between the 100 watt and 40 watt. The cab is it's all pretty much the same. The speaker looks the same. I don't see any real difference. I could be wrong there. This is the only time it looks any different. And to me, this is basically no different than what I had basically on the Viper VIP 2. And so is there any type of a benefit, improvement, difference between them? No, it's pretty much just a repackaged product. They also might have repackaged it and for remanufacturing of the product. Just checking the speaker here. Yeah, no difference in the speakers. Just repackaged the product. Again, probably with their production moved to China, so this is probably now even more fully Chinese produced than American, which again, unfortunately you can't produce stuff like this in America for cheap. Just the reality of things. So the 40 watt model, you lose the LED on the control panel, you still get everything else. Just the 60 watts less solid state. The pricing drops from $349 to $249, and then lastly we'll go to the limited 20 watt version, which drops to $749, and the amazing financing of $8 a month. That's just so funny. $8 a month. Like $179, you're going to finance it for $8 a month over 24 months. It just seems pretty crazy, to be honest with you. Again, we'll just take a quick look at this. 8-inch speaker. Obviously smaller package. And again, you don't have the modeling aspect as what you did on the the X3. Oh, sorry, they actually have it called the Viper X1. Ooh. So basically, Viper X1 doesn't have the modeling emulation. Still has all the amps. Still has all the... Oh, actually it does have the instrument thing. It's just in a different position. Yeah. Okay. So, basically... Yeah, they call that Viper X. Meanwhile... Okay, Viper X1. So, Viper X1, 20-watt model, $179. Viper X2, 40-watt model, $249. And lastly, the Viper X3 model, $349. Oh, lordy, 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 lordy. That said, do I think that this actually is going to be anything really, as we pull myself back up to full size, close that out? Do I see this as being anything special? Again, it's just a rebrand. Maybe they put an improved speaker in it. Beyond that, other than there not being any support for the VIP version of Vipers anymore, if you can get a VIP 2 or 3 for a really good price in working order off of your local Craigslist, Kijiji, or what is it? Springtree in Australia, I think it is. Anyways, varying parts of the world. If you can get like any of the VIP series 2 or 3 models at a good price, grab them. And if you can get the Sanpera 2 controller for it, whether it be the original or the newer black version, go for it, because I think there still is value in the line. When it comes to the actual X3 or X branded, I don't think there's any real value other than, you know, more warranty and support for it going forward. My last thoughts and opinions. Peavey, as a whole, with the Viper line, has done the one biggest thing that I think is their biggest mistake, and they lose out on sales for it. And that is, they do not offer any of the versions, the more recent versions past the Gen 1. They don't offer the VIP, they don't offer the Pro in a head-only model. They could be making a killing selling a 40-watt model and a 100-watt head model of the Vipers for, say, $199 for a 40 and $299 for a 40. They would be making a killing, and they wouldn't have to put all the material, they wouldn't have to put speakers and whatnot. They would save more in cost to produce it. I think it's a shame that they don't do it. Same thing as when Peavey decided to drop the Viper Tube series. That to me was also one of their biggest blunders, because when you had the power amp tubes of 6L6s and you have a 12AX7 preamp / buffer tube, it actually made everything in the modeling aspect that much more with depth and definition. That's what I was saying. In a lot of ways, I kind of wish that my Viper Tube 60 didn't die, because the amp models that were on it and everything just combined, it was an awesome amp especially for guitar. There wasn't too much you couldn't do guitar-wise with it. And furthermore, the only thing that Peavey leaves off of the tier down models of the Vipers, no effects loop. You put an effects loop in the Viper Pro, awesome. Why the hell isn't it in the mid tier? Like, I mean, okay, don't put it in the 8-inch speaker version, but I mean the 40 and the 80. Another thing as well, why not offer a Viper without the onboard effects, without the instrument modeling, and just make it that it just does the amp modeling. Amp modeling and an effects loop. Done. Consumer would be interested. And basically it would be almost like no different than having a Boss Katana, which again is a very popularly sold little guitar amp combo. You know, again, all that's going on with the mismanagement, I guess, in Peavey right now is, you know, really screwing things up for the company. That said, if you've made it this far, 36 minutes, thank you very much for watching. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and take care. Bye for now.